There's an ancient military maxim: appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak.
My man knows his Sun Tzu.
Art of war.
Now keep that quote in mind as you ponder our next mystery. How did a division of tanks appear out of nowhere to stymie a Nazi counterattack?
Take a good look at this photo. Looks like a bunch of tanks stationed near a country road, right? But looks can be deceiving, and what's really going on here is one of the wildest stories of World War II. September 1944, France. Just 3 months after D-Day, Allied forces are advancing swiftly across Western Europe. George Patton's Third Army is attacking the fortress city of Metz.
In September of 1944, the Germans have, of course, been pushed out of Normandy, and the Allies are, in a sense, racing across France as quickly as their supply lines will allow them to do so, with the hope of being able to basically cross into Germany and try to end the war before the onset of winter.
But Patton's rapid advance has put his troops far ahead of his supply lines and reinforcements, spelling potential disaster.
And once that happens, his troops become overstretched and are potentially vulnerable to German counterattacks to exploit weaknesses in his line.
German command sees a mouth-watering opportunity. But seemingly overnight, new recon comes in. The 6th Armored Division, more than 8,000 men with tanks, has appeared out of nowhere to shore up Patton's flank. That photo we showed you captures a little bit of what the Germans would have seen. It spooks them, and they turn back. For decades, the Pentagon refuses to divulge how the division suddenly appeared like superhumans.
I'm going out on a limb here. The disinformation campaigns put on by the Allies at the end of World War II may have been the best in military history.
I'd agree. They had this uncanny ability to keep the German recon looking at what they wanted them to see, all while hiding what they needed to keep secret.
So these tactics were so effective, they were kept top secret for decades. So while heroes like General George Patton got all the credit in the world for winning the war, these geniuses remained unsung till now.
The secret of how the 6th Armored Division appeared out of nowhere is that they didn't. What the Germans really saw was a different unit, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, the Ghost Army.
The 23rd Special Headquarters Troops Unit was the first multimedia military deception unit, and it was there to basically confuse and deceive the Germans about Allied strengths as they advanced towards Germany.
These military magicians could make their small, agile force of 500 look like a fearsome wrecking crew of 8,000.
Denial and deception operations are pivotal in warfare. And in this operation, that was the key to defeating the Nazis.
As you can see in this footage shot by the Army, the Ghost Army's weapons were visual and sonic deception.
The people that are actually there are there to create the illusions of this much larger unit.
What kind of soldier was needed to pull this off? The kind with special skills not typical of combat units.
The people who did this were artists and designers, real creative types.
The visual deception involved inflatable equipment that looked like tanks and artillery from a distance. This model, which is about as deadly as a beach ball, is an inflatable replica of the legendary Sherman tank, and this is a dummy howitzer artillery cannon. For sonic deception, they transmitted a division's worth of radio traffic.
The Ghost Army was able to simulate the radio traffic, for example, of American divisions.
And to sell the hoax, they used sonic trucks to play the sounds of thousands of men and equipment for anyone listening.
You have some of the soldiers deploying some of the inflatables here. While some of the images that you'll see now seem even laughable, how could this be real? But you gotta think about, based on the technologies at the time of what the enemy would be able to see from the air, from an aircraft, or from a distance, this will look very real to them. And that's what mattered.
Seeing is believing, and what the Germans thought they saw was more than they could handle. So they delayed any action long enough for some real Allied reinforcements to arrive and replace those inflatable tanks. The Ghost Army would pull off almost 24 similar operations during the war, keeping the German command scratching their race-obsessed, power-mad heads across the European theater.
You're trying to confuse the enemy. When you're trying to project that you have more power than what you really have. You want them to see you as the 10-foot tall man, and when in fact you're not. Now they fear what is coming. You've created a legend.
After the war, many in the 23rd's ranks became well known. Folks like fashion designer Bill Blass, sculptor Ellsworth Kelly, and wildlife artist Arthur Singer.
Amazing, Ronnie. The Ghost Army was able to do its magic again and again. Quite the sleight of hand.